Well, this is a doozy here. Basically, I had an idea. You know, I've got a lot of niche, expensive, crazy overpriced fragrances, right? They don't get as much airtime on the channel because it's really just not obtainable to the bulk majority of my audience. So I like to stick with designers because that's what basically makes the most sense in most situations. I love my designer fragrances. Actually, I wear designers more than I do niche, but I do have a lot of them. But then that got me thinking, you know, if there's some weird instance where I had to get rid of all of my most expensive niche products and only keep 12 designer fragrances and replace those, what would I choose? Obviously, this would hopefully never happen, but I'm talking about all of my expensive stuff. My Rosias, my Killians, my Parfums de Marley's, and at MSRP, my Creeds. If I had to get rid of all of those and choose 12 designer fragrances to keep in their place, what would I pick? So I think this really goes to show that I have ample amounts of respect for these 12 designer fragrances I'm about to talk about. I love these. I think they're amazing. And I personally think they have what it takes to take place of some of my most beloved niche products. I think we should get into it. And I do also want to point you in the direction of my description where I have links to all of these down below so you can get them at prices below retail. If you want to save the most amount of money possible in this hobby, subscribe and check out my community tab every day, all day long. Refresh that, get signed up to my mailing list down below so that way you don't miss out on some of the best deals on rare and discontinued hard to find fragrances. This list has a lot of weight, so I just think we got to run through this. We'll get it started with some Iris. Got to have some Valentino Uomo Intense. Now, you know, this goes without saying, but I could have tossed in the Dior, I could have tossed in the Givenchy. I was just kind of feeling like Valentino when I was putting this together. And it's one that has grown on me substantially compared to when I first got it. Now, it has Iris, of course. There's a good amount of leather in here, a little bit of a kind of a chocolatey smell also, which is very common with this type of DNA. You even get some of that from the Givenchy, a little bit of a cacao accord, and same with Dior Homme Intense. So all that's, you know, pretty standard. So sexy, so sweet, so smooth. What I like about this compared to some of the others is the leather accord in here is really bumped up. It's a little bit more masculine. I just think this stuff is amazing. And if I had to get rid of some of my heavy hitting, kind of gourmand, chocolatey, leathery, irisy niche scents, if I had to get rid of those, I would definitely have to have this one. Now, I love Iris, but what's another note that I also really like a lot? That would be tobacco. I am a tobacco fragrance obsessed human being. I just love the note because it's so versatile and it's used in so many different ways in perfumery, from fresh tobaccos that can be kind of aromatic and used in some spring and early summer fragrances, all the way into deep, heavy, sweet, rich red pipe tobacco scents for the coldest of winter days. I've got a few of my favorite niche tobacco fragrances in mind, one of which would be like a Parfums de Marly Herod. Well, in this video, I would have to get rid of that, right? Mancera red tobacco, same thing. It would have to be gone. So what would I take in replacement of that on the designer side? This is Mystery Tobacco by Carolina Herrera. Now, I understand price point doesn't quite line up with others in this video, but again, you know, this isn't niche technically. It's really not. It's still a designer, and this is what I would have to take in its place. It reminds me a little bit of red tobacco, a little bit of a Herod / Carlisle thing going on, but this one is almost better. I think this is phenomenal stuff. Great performance, great quality, very unique while still kind of tying back to some of those other heavy hitting tobacco fragrances. I just think this stuff is amazing. And if I had to toss out my niche heavy hitters, I would definitely fork over some money and keep this one around. This stuff is amazing and it's a must-have if you like this note. Kind of going back to that sweet trend, you know, if I had to get rid of something like Layton or maybe some of my other vanilla kind of sweet gourmand, just evening sexy fragrances, what would I take in replacement? Well, I could have thrown in a Layton clone, right? That would have been easy, but I wanted to avoid clones for this video as well. So I'm not just picking clones, it just would have been a different product of a video. So ultimately, I kind of, you know, decided on Code Absolute by Armani. And the reason why is because it gives me that vanilla. It gives me that suede and that tonka bean, a little bit of an orange up top. It's very sweet, smooth, sexy, silky, and addicting. I love this stuff. you know, it's no surprise at all. Anyone who's been around on the channel for a little while knows that I just really like this. So when I have to think about getting rid of some of my heavy hitters on the niche side that kind of does a similar thing, not even necessarily smelling similar to this, but just kind of different or kind of similar situations, this is what I have to throw in. I love this stuff. Got to keep it around. Now, when I think about something that's going to be a little bit more wearable and versatile on the niche side, but does still have some substance to it and some uniqueness to it, if I have to get rid of stuff like that, I have to supplement that with a designer. And for this, I chose Narciso Rodriguez Blue Noir, the Parfum. The reason why is because it still has that musk, vetiver, and woodiness that the line is known for, but then it adds iris, you guessed it. So it sweetens it up and makes it a little bit more dusty, powdery. And it's basically taking a DNA that is mostly built around musk and woods and adding a little bit more variety to it. I think this flanker is incredibly well done, and I'm just going to go on record and say it's the best flanker they've put out. Really good stuff. And there aren't really any niche fragrances that I own that smells like this, but there are things that do a similar thing of combining freshness with a little bit of a dusty sweetness. And if I was getting rid of those, this is what I would keep around. Now, next up, if we're just talking straight up uniqueness, this is going to fill the void for that. So, you know, a lot of my creeds, you can argue they're really not the most unique, but if you go over to something like Killian, there's Killian Back to Black, right? Which this could, in a weird way, kind of get compared to it a little bit, although it would be a stretch. But I'm talking things like that are sweet, heavy, and rich, and just very unique. If I had to get rid of those, which really saddens me to think about getting rid of my Killians. I love those. It's one of my favorite niche houses. I would have to keep around something like this. Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum. Now, for the sake of this video, I'm going to get a few people saying, oh, that Guerlain is niche. You know, what are you talking about? That doesn't fit. Well, it does when this is just kind of a designer price for this video. And I'm talking about getting rid of my expensive niche fragrances and keeping around my much more affordable designer scents, or in this case, niche designer. And I guess for that matter, I could have thrown in some Manceras as well. So it's kind of like, how far do you take that rule? But for the sake of this video, because it's my video, I'm tossing this one in. Now, this one has cherry, it's got almond, it has vanilla. It smells so, so good, so unique. And that cherry accord is what is going to kind of get people maybe comparing it to something like Back to Black by Killian, but they are still wildly different. But this does a similar thing in that it's very unique and there's nothing else out there like this. Now, believe it or not, we actually have a cheapie in here, and this is crazy, talking about getting rid of my multiple hundreds of dollars per bottle worth of niche products and trade for a $35 scent. It sounds stupid, but this stuff is so good that I just kind of had to put it in. Bentley for Men Absolute. It's all about the cedar wood, the incense, the pink pepper, the papyrus. It is smoky, woody to the ultimate degree. One of the most masculine and just head-turning, commanding fragrances that I own in my collection. And at this price point, it is an absolute no-brainer for guys who want something that's going to be masculine and not your newer style of an overly sweet men's scent. Smells Like Gucci Pour Homme, the original, and that one is no longer, so this is your next best bet at getting something like that, and it's worth every penny and more. You know, I love vetiver. Vetiver is a great note, kind of similar to tobacco in the fact that it's so versatile and can be used in so many different forms, from soapy and fresh and clean and light, airy vetivers, all the way over to some earthy and dirty, super potent smelling vetivers that might gross you out, right? There's a whole wide range of ways that it can be used in different compounds and used in different ways. And so if I had to get rid of like my Roja Parfums vetiver or something like that, which is one of my favorites, what would I keep in return? Well, it would be XX Artisan by John Varvatos. So this is what I would pick. It's got vetiver, bitter orange, a little bit more citrus in here, just some other general woods, a nice musk accord, but the vetiver is the star of the show with that bitter orange up top. So it smells fantastic, very masculine, kind of gives you, I guess if I had to kind of try to paint a picture for you, think of something like Terre d'Hermès, but much more wearable. You know, this has the vetiver, kind of dirty orange accord going on. Still wildly different scents, but just giving you an idea of what it could be similar to in terms of a category. That would be that. You know, it's a really, really nice vetiver scent that smells much more expensive than it actually is. Big fan of this one right here, Bottega Veneta Pour Homme. So this is an outdoorsman scent. I've talked about it before. It has a bunch of woods, balsam fir, cedar wood, like I'd mentioned. Very outdoorsy, very kind of earthy, a little bit green, very masculine. It smells like someone that's wearing a flannel in the fall. He's chopping firewood, right? Really just has kind of a down-home, traditional, masculine smell to it. I think it's great. And when I take a look at some of my niche products that don't necessarily smell similar to this, because there really isn't anything out there that I have that does, but just niche products that do kind of give me a similar feeling of just a masculine traditional men's scent. If I had to get rid of those, this is what I would take in replacement. Kind of going back on the sweet trend here, leaning more towards my gourmands again, my Killians and some of the Parfums de Marly's and that sort of thing. If I had to get rid of those, I would supplement that empty space with Pure XS Night. Yeah, seriously, a Paco Rabanne fragrance would be taking replacement of some of my most beloved niche scents. Sounds crazy until you've actually smelled Pure XS Night, and really, Pure XS for that matter as well. Could have also been in here, but this one kind of edges it out in terms of just being even more unique. It's got caramel and myrrh and vanilla, of course, and all of this kind of going on to create this warm, spicy, sweet, chocolatey concoction. There's a ton of ginger and ginseng up top, so it opens up very spicy, but that does dissipate and it gets very smooth and silky and creamy in the dry down. This stuff here is nothing short of impressive. It's significantly better than most other things that Paco Rabanne is currently producing on the market, and I recommend this to anyone and everyone who wants something sweet for the wintertime. Super unique scent up next that never really caught on in the same way as a flanker to this. So this is CH Men, and you could choose the new bottle. That's what you're going to get, and that's what you should get. Don't hunt down these bottles, okay? There's not nearly as much of a difference to justify it. These older ones are a little bit more green from the literal grass accord. The newer one's a little bit more sweet, which is actually nice. So just get the new ones on discounters. Save yourself a ton of money. You can get them for, you know, $50, somewhere around in there. It's the way to go. Don't let that scare you away. This DNA is still amazing. So it does have grass, like I said. There's leather in here. There's sugar. So it's very, very interesting. And what I was talking about a minute ago, the other flanker was CH Men Privé. That one hit the market in, 2015 or something like that, give or take a couple of years. And it immediately gained a lot of traction, really started getting hype. And all the focus was on Privé. And dollar for dollar, at the time, Privé was probably the better purchase. The leather was stronger. It has a booziness, some tonka bean. You know, it was just a really good flanker. So it deserved that hype. But it's discontinued. You can't get it anymore. And so now we're kind of back to square one with this, which is not a bad thing. It's a really good scent. And if I wanted to replace one of my wearable leather niche scents with, you know, something else, this is what I would choose. Almost done. Le Male Le Parfum. Yeah, a Le Male flanker taking place of one of my beloved niche scents. It's also crazy until you've smelled it, and then you kind of understand, you know, because I'm telling you guys, these flankers have come a long, long way. They really have. They're doing a great job with these. I think this is one of their best works that they've put out, just from the brand in general, and it happens to be a flanker. You know, it has a little bit of that original Le Male DNA, a little bit of the Ultra Male sweetness, the vanilla kind of fruity sweetness, and a little bit of that is in here. But then you also get this cardamom and iris mixture. So the cardamom giving it a dose of a spicy kick, the iris kind of smoothing it out, making it a little bit more sweet as well. So it's a variation of a couple different fragrances and then its own twist on top. And I think it is really, really well done. This would be my choice if I had to replace it with something that was kind of a warm, spicy scent. This is what I would choose. And last up for this video, I'm going to end it with Lanaweed Alone. So my thought process behind this one was, I love cardamom, okay? This is what put cardamom on the map. It really just did. It made it mainstream, designer side. Now, on the niche side, there are some amazing cardamom fragrances out there. One of my favorites is Memo Paris African Leather. It's a niche product. If I had to get rid of that, I would need a supplemental cardamom fragrance and replacement. Le Male Le Parfum just won't quite get the job done enough. It's not as strong as the cardamom in Lanaweed Alone. So that's kind of where the thought process is behind this one. And also it just makes me super happy to have this around. You can see this is one of my bottles. It's got a pretty healthy dent. I mean, that's at least 100 mils gone out of this. I've got a couple more vintage edition art bottle. I've just recently bought a small little, if I can get it, I always forget what size this is. 40 ml, kind of oddball size. Bought this just kind of as travel, and this is the one I'll wear to bed at night just because it's the newest batch and I don't want to waste my older batches. So that's kind of my thought process behind it. And yeah, if I had to get rid of my beloved African leather cardamom beast, I would choose Lanaweed Alone. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. 12 designer fragrances I would choose if I had to get rid of my most expensive niche fragrances. That speaks a lot about these. All great in their own way and worth a pickup for sure. Links will be down below. Deals on the community tab. Get subscribed. You can enter the giveaways, 500 bucks a month. You can see the deals. It pays to be subscribed. That's gonna do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.